Hello everybody, welcome. Today I'm kicking off a new series. It is called Wild Wednesdays. So what this series is about, it's about letting your imagination go wild. So I'm going to be presenting some kind of a topic, like today is going to be on tickets. And I'm going to give you some ideas of things that you can do, and I invite you to let your imagination just go wild. Just let it come up with new ideas and new things and try out things and just have fun with it. So these are some of the things that we'll be making today. All of these are made with tickets, but let's say you don't have tickets. Part of what I'm teaching you today is how to make tickets on your own. So grab a cup of coffee, get cozy, and let's have fun making some great things. Let your imagination go wild. Okay, for this project you're going to need just a few little supplies. This is a little piece of paper, whatever type of paper that you want to use. This one happens to be from the dollar store. It's a piece of wrapping paper. I have it cut at 2.5 by 2.25 inches. After that, what you're going to want is a border. So I just cut mine, I eyeballed it. It made about 1/4 inch longer on each side. So what I have here is just shy, it's like a 2 5/8 and almost 3, so it's 2 7/8. So something like that, whatever you feel comfortable with. Then I want paper for the inside signatures. For my signature papers, what I have them cut is at 2 3/4 and 2.5. Okay, so then a few tickets, a little bit of cheesecloth, and I've got my needle and thread for binding. And this is a little button that I've got. So let's go ahead and make our little project. First thing right off the bat, what I want to do, I want to glue my cover down. So this is going to be the outside where I'm going to place my adorable tickets on top of. So tickets are such fun, and they come in so many different colors. You can just let your imagination go wild and have fun figuring out how you want to do that. So for my outside base, I just used paper. I initially cut a piece of cardstock out to use for my cover, but I decided it was just a little bit too heavy and it was gonna not really lay like I wanted it to lay. Go ahead and fold that in half. What I'm going to be doing here is a little tie. I'm going to be adding on some twine. Now you can put that either under or on top. Yikes! Of your piece. I'm going to be putting this one right underneath my tickets. So for my tickets, here's one, and I've got one that's kind of ripped up. I want to just kind of create a little bit of movement and a little bit of personality. And I'm going to twist them up a little bit, but before I do that, I'm going to want to put some of my cheesecloth down. So since I'm going to be putting my cheesecloth down, I'm going to go ahead and place a spot of glue right there just to hold that in place. So because I have issues with my arm, I just used my glue gun with that. Okay. So you can go ahead and do the edges of your ticket if you want. Here's some my distress ink. A little bit on the clumsy side here, I admit. So some of you know, but I'm sure all of you don't know, but earlier this week I fell and I broke my right arm. So it's not as bad as it was when I fell. And this is actually the first time I've been down here crafting. So I'm kind of figuring it out. I have some use of my right hand. I go see the doctor tomorrow, so hopefully he says it's okay that I use my right hand. It does make the muscles in my arm just a little bit tired, though, of where it's broken. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and place a little glue catch it on there, and it's going to just stick out. So I'm going to put a little bit on the other side. So once I got over just being bummed out from my incident, I'm starting to discover that I just need to rise up and just make things happen. I mean, stuff happens to people all the time, right? So you got to just decide if you're gonna do it, or you're just gonna sit back and complain about it. And I confess I was complaining about it for a while. Okay, I'm going to place that on top. I'm going to angle it slightly, not put it straight with the paper that's behind it. And then I'm going to also be angling this one. And I think actually as I look at out at the outer white paper, I think it's a little bit too wide, far out for the size of this. So I think I might cut it down just a tad. I gotta see how much I can cut it down though. One thing I can do also to take away from it feeling just so huge behind it is use some of my distress ink on it, because that'll make my eye feel like it's fuller. Yep, that helped. Now, if you have pink probably would have been maybe a little bit better for right here. Perhaps, you know, just a cheerful look. This gives it that vintage look though. Then what I want to put in the middle right here is just a button. So you can use a real button. This is just a button from a digital kit that I recently made. I'll put a link to it below. It has a whole row of buttons that you can just punch out, and then it lays nice and flat for when it's in a book. So now we're going to be putting the signatures in. As soon as I can get that in, it's a whole new thing. So I've got my signatures there, and I do have to tell you, my edges of my paper is just really quite ratty. My blade needs change. That is something I definitely cannot do on myself. I have to have someone come down and help me. So let's see how I do with piercing the paper. I might not be able to do it. I might need to do one at a time. So far, okay. If I go slowly and gently. So I'm putting my 3 holes in, one in the middle, and I'm just eyeballing it. One that's about, I'll measure it to tell you for sure. It's about a 1/2 inch up from the bottom and from the top. So I've got one in each of those. So there's my 3 holes, and I'm going to go ahead and just do a simple pamphlet stitch, and I'll talk you through that right now in case you've never done it. My string is kind of short, so hopefully I have enough. Normally you want 3 distances of your book. That's the length of the string that you want. So let's give it a try. I'm going to push it in the middle. I want to hold my tail. I don't want it to go through. And then I'm going to take my needle and push it through the top hole, through the bottom hole, and back up the middle. So I need to get this out of the way. Right back up the middle. If I can, I want it on this other side. And look at that, I have plenty of thread. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm going to tie a knot and tie it off. So far, so good. So this is just a sweet little book then. You can use it a book in a book. Oh, yes, I like it. So there's a wonderful ticket idea. A little ticket journal. Isn't that sweet? Okay. So this is the next thing that I want to make with you. This is a ticket that I took and I ran it through my embossing machine. I got this idea from Nika. Absolutely fell in love with it. She did it, I think, on paper and then did the oxidizing ink on it, and it's just stunning. So this is how I did it. I took a one of your embossing folders. This just happens to be a tiny one the size of a ticket, and I ran this through my embossing machine. When you run it through your embossing machine, you want to have it so that the part that sticks out is on the top. So like, see, the Darcy's on the top. This is the part where the embossing is going to be coming up instead of the embossing going down. Either way is just fine. But if you can get it so the embossing is sticking up on the front of your ticket, that's the best way. So if you have a nice little tool to use for this, it's great. I didn't have one. I couldn't find one, but I did have these toothbrushes that I was playing around with a while back. I got them from the dollar store. You can get like 6 for $1. And let me tell you, I really liked how they worked out, and I'm in love with the price too, so admit that. So all I'm doing is I'm pressing this down, picking up some ink, and then rubbing it around on my ticket. And see how it picks up just some of that color and it puts it on the ticket? So you can go heavy, you can go light, but I'm getting it on the areas that the embossing is pushed up on. So then I'm going to take my other color. So what I did, because I didn't want to mix my emboss inks, I just took a tissue and I tried to wipe it off the best that I could. Ideally, I would just grab another toothbrush though, so that you don't mix your inks. If you mix your inks, you can start getting some muddy colors. So what I wanted to do was add some green to this. So I took some of that, and I'm trying to now lay it in between instead of on top of where the embossing is. I don't want to mix it much with where I laid the purple, because I don't want to create that muddy brown. I just want to get some of my nice green down there. And see how it's picking up? I just love this. So this makes just a great embellishment. You can use it on its own on your page. You can put it in a collage. It's just stunning. I mean, just in love with it. So thank you, Nika, for that wonderful idea. Let me see if putting some color behind it, you can see it a little bit better. Can you see that a little bit better? It's just sweet. Okay. I want to show you is actually how to make a ticket. So let's say you don't have any of these tickets. I should tell you, if you don't have any tickets and you wanted some tickets, I do have tickets in my Etsy shop that you can get. I'll put a link down below for those. But if you don't have tickets and you want some tickets, it's easy to do. You're going to take your cutting board and you're going to make a 1-inch cut. So let's see how long our tickets are in this one. You can make it any size that you want. I'm going to try to go by what these are. So these are 1 inch by 2 inches. So you can pull out if you have a scoring machine and just score along the 2 inches, or you can just kind of do it like this. Fold your first one and then fold the rest of them after that. Gonna fold again. Fold again, and fold again. So I have a little bit long right here, so actually I can just rip that off, make it look like a rip ticket maybe. We'll see. If I don't like it, I can always cut that off. Okay, so let's see if I can do this. I haven't tried this yet with my arm like this. Okay, so here's a ticket, and what you want to do, you want to take your hole punch and you want to punch on each corner, so that creates, like, see the ticket right there? See that the shape from the ticket? That's the kind of shape that we're going for on our tickets that we're making here. Just tucked in a little bit. And there you go. You have your row of tickets and you're ready to start creating and making. So this is great with stamping, and it's just a fun little technique. I'm going to try this. I'm going to cut this one off. And I'm going to take this one that I just made and glue it on, and so that I'm going to have a little, so I'm going to make a little booklet that I can tuck in my junk journals. So I'm going to put one on the front and then one on the back. Boy, it's easier just gluing the paper instead of gluing your ticket. Okay. Now you have this adorable tuck. The other thing I want to show you now how to make is this. This is a paperclip cluster. So when you have your page, you can place it on the top of your page, like that. So what you want to have about 3 tickets. Okay, so here's your 3 tickets that we're going to be using to make this. What you want to do is grab a scrap piece of paper. Here's just a piece, it doesn't matter what it is. It's going to be what's going to be between your paper clip and the actual ticket. So this is going to be the top that's going to go over the page. So I want my paper clip there at the bottom like that. So I'm going to put this on like that, and then I'm going to glue that to my ticket, and so that's the first part. And you can glue it wherever you want. I'm going to glue it more towards the top area, so that this is where the top of my page is going to be. If I glued it farther down there, that would cause this part of my ticket to stick up above the page, and that's fine too. It just depends on whatever you want. Now what I want to do, I want to take some twine and wrap it around my ticket. So this kind of reminds me of just like old days, you know, like my Grammy. She would save things, right? So it's like saving this on something obscure like a ticket. So you just get that vintage feel to it. So I've got a short little edge there. I should have left it just a little bit longer so I had a little bit more room to tie it. No biggie though. I'm going to get it done. Alright. So I've got kind of a knot going on there, so I'm just going to tie it and then put some glue on it to make sure it stays in place. So this ticket here is going to be kind of hanging down. Let me turn it that way so you can see. This ticket here is going to be hanging down kind of angled, and so that's going to make the blocking for that area, and that's also going to be the area where the other where I want the ticket to go. So I'm going to put this scrap piece of paper on the other side of my paper clip, like that. And then I'm going to glue this, and it's going to stick against the front, this front piece. Hot glue works really great for something like this. I like using hot glue when I make that. So while I'm doing that, I do want to just make sure that my glue isn't seeping out and closing off. So I'm just tucking in a scrap piece and pulling it up to the top. So now I know it's safe and it's going to work. So while that's drying, I'm going to use a real button for this one. You can see, fishing in my button box. That one. So I just use little scraps. So if you pull out your little scrap bin and just see what you can find, it's just the perfect thing for this. So I'm going to tuck that just let me go a little closer. I'm going to tuck that under my string, remembering that's my top. And I'm going to put that like that. Bloop. Nice little bit of glue. Holding it in place. Perfect. So now I can pull that off, and if I want to, the paper stuck to me. that hot glue just will go everywhere with you. So if you want to, just adding a little bit of that distressed along some of the edges there just gives it a nice little feel. So for the back, you can either write on it, or what I did with my other one, I took a word, rest, and I placed it on it. Okay, so let's see. We've got our little book. We've got our embossed tickets, and we use that to make this little tuck fold out book. There's the tickets. We made the tickets, and then we made this little paperclip cluster. So I hope you guys enjoyed all of this. I challenge you to make these and to come up with other ideas of using tickets too. So I hope you have a great day. I will talk with you another time. Check out all the information below and have a nice time.